I'm Natalie Agatu, and I work for the London Waste and Recycling Board. And I am here with you today to share more on our Circular London program and our different activities that we do in London to make the city a low carbon and circular economy one. Sometime around 2016, 15 to 16, as the circular economy discussions started flourishing, internally within our board, we reflected on what could we be doing for London. And the first thing that happened was that we drafted London's first circular economy route map. And that was a collective effort with stakeholders from the 5 different focus areas that the route map is addressing, including the built environment, food, textiles, electricals, and the built environment. And within that roadmap, we identified around 100 practical actions of how we could bring the circular economy to London. One of those 100 practical actions was to set up a business support program for small and medium enterprises in the city, because we had identified a need that predominantly SMEs are kept outside the discussion when it comes to the circular economy and sustainability. Whereas corporate partners might have their own resources to dive into the topic. And hence, since 2017, we have launched the Advanced London program, which is the business support program of the board that helps SMEs in London either transition to circular business models or help those who have a circular DNA scale and grow. So the way we structure the program and the way we funded the Advanced London Business Support Program was with tapping into the European Regional Development Fund that was available for us in London. And we actually put some of our own match funding as a LWORB into the mix. And I think we contributed around 700K, and the other 700K came from the ERDF. And that would allow us for 3 years of operations, setting up and delivering the program and delivering free advice for the SMEs to onboard on the circular economy trajectory with us. It all started with the circular economy route map, and our visionary head of Circular London at the time really identified a need for circular SME, but also SMEs that have never heard of the term of the circular economy to be able to be exposed to this concept and explore what benefits could that bring. And that's what kind of laid the core stone for developing the program, and hence then identifying the appropriate funding for it. Basically, what we have observed at the time was that SMEs were either too distant from the concept, so a big majority of SMEs wouldn't have never heard of the term circular economy, or the ones who have already heard about it and were trying to do something about it, who would set up like other startups or a little bit more mature companies, were all kind of alone. There wasn't one kind of place to meet, network, address any issues that they were having. So those two kind of forces made it that a business support program dedicated to SMEs felt of essence for London. So the program has been set up in a way that is available for free to the SMEs, as it is publicly subsidized. That means that we have kind of lifted the barrier of access for SMEs that might not put that as a priority, looking at the circular economy. So all London-based SMEs have and could access the program. The way we proactively engage with SMEs was to tap into existing networks like business improvement districts, local chamber of commerces, the Federation of Small Businesses, different partners that had access to those small, medium enterprises that we needed. But also we were very privileged to have also a proactive kind of engagement, a reactive engagement with the businesses, as we have been, even since day one, had already 15 expressions of interest from SMEs waiting for receiving the support and service that we could offer to them. Now, looking at the service we offered them, it did take us 2-3 years of pivots of our own to understand what's best would be, what would be the best recipe for supporting the SMEs and how we could help them actually achieve what we wanted them to achieve. And that pivot led us to, I think, a pretty straightforward offering. And basically it comes down to helping businesses redesign the way they do business, helping them validate whether they are a circular business or not, or if they are launching a circular initiative, is that a circular initiative? And then once we have validated what they do, we help them amplify their impact and hence try to organize activities like meeting buyers or meeting investors to help them take their business to the next level. Well, we measure success on 2 levels. So we measure success on the kind of number of SMEs that we have reached, and at the moment we have worked and reached more than 200 plus SMEs in London in the past 4 years, and it's a portfolio that keeps growing. But we are also measuring success on the basis of outcomes as well. What happens after we deliver the support and what happens after we reach those SMEs. And we are proud to say we have launched more than 40 new circular products and services in London and have contributed to the creation of 50 plus circular economy jobs. So these are kind of our key impact measurement indicators. We're also tracking and monitoring how much investment we have helped them raise, what sort of introductions have happened, and whether they led to a circular initiative or pilots with potential partners. We get feedback and ask for feedback from the SMEs on a yearly basis to make sure we are relevant to them. I would say there are 2 things. Like, the first one is the team. I think we have a really great team with powerful professionals, really passionate about what they do, and they really ultimately care to change our world. So that's a great drive and force for good. And the second success factor is that we always stay connected with the SMEs. So we have this direct contact with them. And at any point in time, we know what they need, we know what they are struggling with, or we know what they have achieved, and we can actually showcase and shout about their success stories. So that is a very, very important link. Some of the key challenges we faced along the process of setting up, but also delivering the program and the support to the SMEs included the challenge to have a relevant offering to SMEs from across the 5 focus areas that we operate, and across the different maturity levels of the SMEs. So we are supporting pre-startups and startups, but we are also supporting family-owned businesses for 20 years. So identifying what is relevant, what will unlock each of them, and what is needed from those businesses at different points in time. That was the key challenge for us, and trying to map that against our team's capacity. We're a small team. We were at the time 5. We're grown a little bit, but still we have around, I think, 800,000 SMEs in London. So that was a key challenge. What helped us was to actually as I said, tap into our closeness to the SMEs, understand what they needed, and identify consistent patterns of support that they needed, and then use those patterns to kind of distill and define clear offerings. So with one stone, we could hit multiple birds. The second challenge we had was actually an overwhelming amount of demand at the beginning of the program and throughout it. So we had a lot of businesses that were coming forward, especially already kind of tuned into circularity. The kind of way we tried to address that challenge was again to offer more support in terms of groups. So bringing the SMEs together, that allowed us to kind of maximize efficiencies and maximize the use of our input to the process, but also allow them to connect with peers and start forming a peer-to-peer network that is actually quite valuable for the SMEs themselves. And the third challenge, which I'm not sure if we have overcome it yet, but we are working on it, is finance and access to patient capital. Circular businesses are challenging the way revenue models work, the way cash flow happens, and alongside that, investment has to kind of be on board in the process of that change happening. We have some very interesting funds around, like Circularity Capital, which we have invested as an organization, Sustainable Ventures, and the Greater London Investment Fund, the GLIF, as we call it, who are investing in circular SMEs. In terms of results, I think we are very proud to have kind of created a circular SME ecosystem for London. Actually, it's London's first circular economy ecosystem. And over the past 4 years, we have created and maintained that ecosystem of circular SMEs. As I said before, we are counting more than 200 businesses in that portfolio, who have a combined turnover of more than 50 million pounds and provide employment to approximately 1,000 people in London. And out of those businesses, I think we are very proud to have like a majority ownership of businesses is female led. 50% of that businesses have ethnicity and diversity in its ownership. And we have a lot of positive outcomes in terms of employment. We have contributed to the creation of 50 plus new jobs in London. And I think in terms of environmental benefits, even though it's very, very hard to quantify that for all the businesses, for all the sectors, I think if we took a selective kind of sample of 11 of the SMEs that we have been working the most with them, and we have kind of measured that they have contributed to around 160,000 tons of CO2 emissions being saved, and they have contributed to around 36,000 tons of waste being diverted from landfill or incineration. So at the moment, yes, the program is ongoing, and as I mentioned before, we will be running till December 2022, and we are currently exploring what's next. There are a series of very ambitious ideas on the table. We are obviously exploring if there's any way to continue grant fund the program for a couple of years more, but we are also looking towards more commercial avenues and how we can commercialize elements of the work that we have designed and developed. And we are also looking into whether there's a potential and opportunity for us to incubate the program to other cities across the UK or across the world, which is very exciting for us to do so, as we believe that reinventing the wheel is not the best use of everyone's time. So if we could help accelerate SME involvement in different cities, rather than having other bodies like us trying to reinvent tools that SMEs need to join the discussion, then for us that's a very promising territory. It will be a great success story in terms of knowledge sharing, and we're really looking forward to spreading the word and making the circular economy everyone's business indeed.